tuned into Thorough Black Talk with Tad, Keisha, and Ashe. Every Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. Don't forget about our sister station, Constructive Talk Radio, Tuesdays, 8 to 10 p.m.
Welcome, family, to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your brother Tad, sister Keisha, and brother Ashe SJ. For those of you who are viewing, you can see us live on YouTube, on Facebook, and if you follow Sister K Fighter on Periscope, you can see us live on Periscope and Twitter. So we took a week off. Yes. You know, a lot of things happen. You know, we busy folks.
A well-deserved break. Salute to Simo Tap.
Shout out to Simo Tap in the building. What's good, Mr. Johnson? How you feeling? How you feeling, King? Good to have the Black family with us always. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Just for the record, tonight's guest will be none other than Dr. Jahi Issa, and we're going to discuss some things that are going on, and hopefully, you know, you all will be interested in what he has to say as it, you know, relates to Africa. You know, if we should go abroad, if we should live abroad, what are some of the opportunities open to us? And we'll take it from there. But like I said, we have had a busy week. At least I have had a seriously busy week. A lot of things going on. I had family over. I had the grandson over. So I'm just tired, pooped out. I've been on this computer for about 12 hours straight. No more than that. Doing some research on some things. Last night, we had a wonderful discussion at the Brooklyn William Mackey Study Group, 103 Quincy Street, with Dr. Arthur Lewis. The topic was, I believe it was geopolitics, and it was phenomenal. We talked about how gangsterism is the fabric of the European world and the United States, where the U.S. economy is headed, and emerging economies that we should pay attention to in the next 10 years and 20 years and beyond. So we discussed that. It was a wonderful conversation. We discussed a little bit about this COVID vaccine that is being pushed on the public. You know, a lot of this pushing of this vaccine, you know, with no voice, if you will, of dissentment. You know, it seems that every media, mainstream media outlet, every politician, in particular, Black politician, is out here trying to get us prepared to take a vaccine that has been formulated, if you will, or at least they say, in an 8-month span. And there are a lot of things that we should question about this, and we should put pressure on selected officials to do just that. We are a dissenting voice. We have no issues with those of you who think it's a good thing to take. You go right on ahead, but we don't. You know, and now these mandates are being put in place, you know, if you travel abroad, which is why I'm glad we have Dr. Issa coming on tonight, because I know he just recently come back into the States and look to travel abroad shortly. So we want to get his take on all of this, you know, to be quarantined and vaccinated and tested and these false positive results and all this whole kind of foolishness that is being pushed on the populace, not just here in the United States, but also abroad. So I'm very excited to discuss that with him. But my brother Tad, how you feeling? We had a week off, brother. I see you're working hard as usual.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, man, I'm feeling good. That was a much deserved break that we took. You know, people don't understand that we burn the candles at both ends over here, you know, and by the time we get on the show, look, it's the end of our day and we still doing work. But nonetheless, you know, just as you, I've been doing some research, and I'm glad that y'all had the discussion about where the currency is going, because many of us are students of Steve Coakley. So we were familiar with the New World Order, the Illuminati, the economic crash. Many were familiar with the economic hitman. So that put us ahead of the curve for what many people don't see that's happening, because the dollar as we know it is about to be non-existent. Now whether you come from a religious aspect dealing with the revelations, when they talk about the cashless society, or whether you just pay attention to politics, and as it stands right now, we see that blockchain and cryptocurrency is the wave of the future. So our folks really need to get familiar and acclimated to it, because unfortunately, us as a group, we like to hold on to old things. But then by the time we do catch up, people are centuries ahead of us. So now that we have this on our lips, now that we are talking about currency and cryptocurrency and blockchains, it's very important that we start studying that. Because remember a couple of years ago, and I said it before, I said we should be talking about pistols and passports. Well, unfortunately, they locked the borders down, so can't do too much passports. And you better be careful about what you do with them pistols and who you point them at. Right, Grandmaster? Right? but yeah, I think us as a group, as Black people, we really need to start being serious about where the world is going, as we see our communities being gentrified, as we hear talks of the vaccines, and we, hear about businesses shutting down. We got to understand that this is an economic reset, and this is a chance for all of us to get on board. So when it does open back up, we'll have a position that we can play effectively in this little monopoly game that's going on in the world. But that's just my thoughts. What do I know?
You know a lot, King. Never sell yourself short, my brother. Never sell yourself short. But what you said is correct. I have been trying to get people to invest, for quite some time. I was talking about blockchain when people was looking at me like I had 10 heads. But
Yeah.
you see. You see. And right now, family, it's so easy to trade. It is so easy to buy in this. You could do it yourself without a broker. I don't use a broker. There are plenty of sites that you can go on. I think they have some blockchain stocks available right now, investments available right now for less than $20. So you need to get it if you can. I'm not going to tell you which ones you should invest in. Do your own research. Also, you should be able to be versatile. Your portfolio should be versatile. Because, as I said, the economy is changing, and the United States is in its decline. Europe is in its decline. And so you have to know about foreign investments and other things, and what better currency, if you will, to use for that is Bitcoin or blockchain. So I employ you all. Now I see a lot of our people are investing in cannabis companies, if you will. Well, you should. You smoked a lot of it. You might as well get some money out of it. It's time to get your bread back, get your money up. And you can invest in that as well. Get it how you can get it, while you can get it, because you don't know, what is coming down the pike. It's always something changing, and we just don't know. So do what you do. But I see better days ahead. Fitness is doing its thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Dad had me in trouble yesterday. As soon as he said that, I was like, oh, here we go with these figure eights. I'm like, oh Lord, but it's working.
Yes.
Working.
I was gonna say,
telling you,
people hate them.
I'm not lying to y'all, it's working.
It's effective, and that's because what it does is it works the internal and external obliques, and the internal obliques are responsible for us dipping to the sides. The external obliques, are responsible for our twisting motions. So a lot of us really have a problem with our love handles. That's a very problematic area, because a lot of times we do sit-ups, and we might do deadlifts or Romanian deadlifts, to attack our lower back, but we forget our sides, and there's no age limit on being fit. And I implore our people all the time that we should always be into our physical fitness and well-being, because not only do we have to get our minds right, but we got to get our bodies and our spirits right as well. I see too many people that have health issues, propping themselves as warriors, but it's like the seriousness of it is, if you have to run, if you have to save one of your children or grandchildren's lives, are you really in a condition to protect your people? Or does it just become rhetoric? And I've seen for a lot of people, it's becoming a lot of rhetoric as opposed to just getting active. Like many see Sister Keisha's out there, she ride her bike, she take a group of women out there to get fit, because that's part of being a warrior. If you're gonna claim that title, if you're gonna claim to be a warrior, you gotta be in place, But I digress. Give me 1 second, sis.
Yes, definitely. And you have to do that. You have to, just for your own health and your own well-being. Tomorrow, well, yeah, tomorrow evening I start my fast. You know, got to give the system a break. And so right now I've just been winding down the food intake until tomorrow, when I start this fast. So today has been all soups and liquids and waters, just to cleanse the system. And it's also humbling because, over this break, we team swap in the building.
Salute.
We were out there doing what we do best, working with the community, feeding those who are suffering right now. And believe it or not, a lot of people who are hungry are the working poor. You know, people you see go to work every day, unfortunately, don't have a meal. And they were very thankful for the meals that we served them, which was top notch. Trust me when I tell you, we ain't give them no hot dogs and burgers and all that. They had everything, they could ever want, but they were all very appreciative. And I don't say that to gloat or to boast, but to make you aware that you should humble yourself.
Yes.
Because you never know what can happen that will put you in that predicament. There was, a couple of our people out there who were suffering with mental illness. And it's progressing, if you will. The numbers are progressing with Black people who are suffering from mental illness. And so, it was easy for me to walk up to them. Some of the sisters was like, Isha, whoa, nah, I'm going over there. You know what I mean? I'm going over there. Right. If I should perish today, so be it. But and they were very humble and very thankful. And we just have to look out for each other. And just remember that when you do for others, it comes back to you. That kind of care comes back to you. And so that's where we're at. So shout out to sisters in SWAP, all of those who participated. We even met a young sister. I believe her name is Amoy Brown. She is running for the city council in Staten Island. And so we made some connections, to do some things in the future. Just like that, by getting off our behinds and going out into the field. A lot of people, you see them, they always got the gift for gab, but you ain't out there with the people. And nobody know who the hell you are. You understand? And shout out to my brother Tankhead. He made sure all of the sisters was well protected. And, he was on guard and he participated and, out there helping feed. He just came from doing a 27-year bid for a murder he did not commit, but he was out there helping. Some of you, you feel you too good, to get out there and roll your sleeves up, but you better not, because if you have been paying attention to the news, the food lines and the bread lines are extreme. I mean, I saw a video with people in Texas. The line was just ridiculous. People out there, hungry. So Again, thank you to the Professor William Mackey Study Group, because that donation helped me to buy, tons and tons of vegetables to feed the homeless. So I thank everybody who contributed from the Brooklyn Mackey Study Group. Every dime was spent. Trust me, they had fresh steamed vegetables, very well seasoned. Sister Keisha plays no games in this kitchen. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I can toot my own horn. I don't play no games in this kitchen. Best believe that. You can go ask Mr. Forrester when you see him. I think I sent it to Brother Tad and him earlier today. I just on a humble, I like to try different things. And so just to see how it will work. And I found a recipe for a cream cheese Moscato pound cake. And wow. I made 2 of them. He done ate water already.
Wow.
So yeah, so this fast, is needed right now. He got to keep it on the calm down because he could go in. He probably down there right now digging in. He like, yeah, I'm free now. I can get it. But yes,
that's dope that you're doing the fast too, because I'm considering doing the fast in a couple of weeks or so. Right before I'm trying to consider, do I want to do it to end the year or bring in the new year with the fast, because what the fast does is also reset your body, gives your digestive system a break, a chance for it to rejuvenate itself. And what many people don't know is how our body registers calories. It's not on a daily basis, but it's actually on a weekly basis. That's why even when we work out, we're supposed to take a break, let our body do its job. Each organ has a job to do. And in fact, that was something I heard Dr. Khalid talk about one time. It was so dope. He talked about organizing, and he talked about the root word of organizing is organ, and he equated organs in our bodies to us being organs within the organization. He said within your body, each organ has its own function. Your kidney has its own function, your liver has its own function, your heart has its own function. So with each organization, if everybody would do their job effectively, then the body will operate effectively, which made perfect sense. Because, I can't articulate it like Dr. Khalid, peace be upon him. But, he always had a way with words, but it made perfect sense. So I say all that to say to our listening audience, do what you can where you are. Just be the best at what you do. If your talent is organizing people, just introducing people, creating a network, then by all means do that. If you're a chef in the kitchen, then by all means cook for the troops, but do what you can. You don't, it's not always about being the one in the spotlight, being the leader, being the head. Somebody got to be the pinky toe. Somebody got to be the thumb. Everybody can't be the brains. Everybody can't be the eyes. Everybody can't be the mouthpiece. We all have our own jobs to do. So it's important that we do it and do it to the best of our ability. Because just like with anybody, if the stomach is not operating optimally, you calling out from work. Say, look, my stomach hurt today. So your heart is good, your kidneys is good. But if your stomach not working right, like, I'm not going to work. If your head hurting, you like, I'm not going to work. And that's how it is within the organization. If you don't do your job, it actually cripples the whole movement. So just be mindful of that as you move forward. And this is why we promote health and wellness, as well as political awareness and political education, because it's a holistic approach that we have to take. And we got to move beyond the realm of rhetoric, which we see a lot of people do, who just get online and they just want to bang on the keyboards, as opposed to really getting some sustainable knowledge and information that's applicable to us as a community. As we open the show, talking about the economy and talking about the switch of the economy, because you don't want to wait till it's 2025 and then you still running around trying to collect 5s and 10s and ain't nobody accepting them no more, because people are literally getting on the bus and the train with their cell phones now. They're literally getting on the just boop. Nobody's even using cash and Metro cards too much to travel. So we got to be mindful and stay abreast of technology and the way that the world is going, because the world is not going to stop developing just because we are not growing as an individual and as a community. So I think this is one of the best things we could do, because as we watch mass media, we see that they're trying to redefine who we are as Black people and literally just wipe us out of the picture altogether. You know, so we definitely have to be mindful. But I digress, sis. Anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah, Sister Farnessa said that dherbs.com has a great cleansing for the body. I know Sister Malika Ali. You can go to
Yes.
malikaali.com and she has a cleanse as well. I believe Minister Inky got one.
All right.
So there are different things that you can try, different websites that you can try, and do what's best for you. I mean, hey, who am I? Do what's best. Whatever floats your boat, go ahead and do it.
That's
We
right.
got too much going on, but I do recommend that, as my brother said, you have to take care of the body and you have to take care of the soul. And so this break that we had for me was a break for the soul because, within this year, um, I have had a lot of family members who've transitioned. I've had a lot of family members who suffered with health and still suffering with health. So my prayers always go out to them. But as a family, we just have dealt with a lot this year. So it was very important for me, to converse with some and video chat with some, go visit some, and so on and so forth, because you never know um, what's in the cards or what somebody's going to throw at you. And we here on this platform always stress that family is very, very important. Um, and I've heard, I saw people making comments. How you gonna take off for Thanksgiving? Y'all celebrate Thanksgiving? No, but we love our family, we love our people. And if that's a day for everybody to be off, that's the way we've always been. You know, I don't know how y'all rock, but that's how I rock. Has
Well,
nothing to do with
European.
set rituals, if you will, but to be amongst my family and to take time off is definitely needed. So I'm glad we did that. So you better get ready because in a few weeks we're gonna take another week off
Word.
because um, it's my anniversary and I'm not talking to none of y'all.
But sis, that's so important, and I think we can't stress that enough because I think sometimes, and and that's what I mean by sometimes we got to separate ourselves from the rhetoric, because I remember when we did the code of conduct, if you could remember, with King Simon and others. We talked about the importance of spending time with family, and I reflected the time, the Thanksgiving prior to that, my grandmother asked me to come over, which I did. I wasn't on no grandma, that's the white man holiday, and they done killed the indigenous. No, no, no.
You better shut up for grandma. You get popped.
Right. When grandma called, you come.
There
And
you go.
I did. Now, mind you, grandma eat pork, she cooked pork. So I was just eating rice and biscuits pretty much, and some mac and cheese and sweet potato pie. I couldn't eat too much greens because, I think it was smoked neck bones or pig foots in there, whatever. However grandma like her greens. But I say all that to say that as much as I love that woman, the following Thanksgiving, she wasn't around anymore. She transitioned, and I was happy that I didn't let my ego or my political position get in the way of me spending her very last Thanksgiving in this realm with her. And that's what I mean. If we love Black folks and our people like we say we do, if we love our elders like we say we do, then we should understand the towns that they grew in are different than the towns that we grew up in. We should understand that the information we have access to, they didn't have access to that information. So we have to be, what's the word? We have to be understanding. You know what I mean? So I understood where my grandmother was coming from. I understood her paradigm of consciousness. All that stuff. Still had the white Jesus over the bed, all of that. But that lady gave my father birth, which gave me birth. So I wouldn't deny my elder and then talk about how much I love Black people and I don't love the ones that brought me here. So I spent her last Thanksgiving with her. And unfortunately, she was gone the following Thanksgiving, but I could always look back and laugh and smile because the love that I say I have for Black people, I have to exhibit within my family first. So even if that means coming over on Christmas, coming over on New Year's, they know I don't celebrate it. but they respect the fact that I'm coming to be with family, because we don't know how much longer we have them in this realm. And 2020 hasn't showed us anything. It showed us that there's nothing guaranteed. Peace and blessings upon Minister Hafiz of the Nation of Islam, who succumbed to COVID. And I'm talking about a stone cold freedom fighter. You know what I mean? We got people out here who love our people, who have fought for our people. And there's so many other people that I can't think of. What's our brother from Hashim and Zinga? Peace be upon him. We've lost a lot of powerful people this year. And these are freedom fighters we're talking about. I'm not even talking about the people within our own family. So we got to love on each other and stop being so critical of one another while we can. If we haven't learned anything from 2020, we should learn that our health is our main priority, followed by God and our family. And I say our health before God, because you can sit there and play with it all you want, but God gave you the wherewithal to move your limbs and the consciousness to take care of yourself. So do that first and then praise God. All right? Because there's many people who are sick and suffering, thinking that God is going to heal them when God has given us the power to heal ourselves. We really have to be mindful, because we're fighting biological weapons right now. And we've heard about that. You know what I'm saying? We heard all about the biological weapons, and here we are, with the COVID, now with the vaccines. And then when you do the research on who Dr. Fauci is and all these, come on, we are literally at war, like we've always been saying. But again, you can't just say you're at war, but not prepare for war. You can't recognize the enemy's weapons and not have a weapon to counter that weapon. Other than that, if you're not doing that, then what you're spewing is rhetoric. But I digress. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Idi Amin, Magnetic Tyson, Sister Tim, always holding us down. Vanessa, and you got ripped off. Shout out to everybody.
For real. And it's real, my brother. And like you said, a lot of our warriors transition. Some are ill right now, that's trying to fight their way back, if you will.
Peace and blessings upon Dr. Patricia Newton.
Yes.
I tell you, we lost too many this year.
Yep.
We lost too many this year. It's hard to keep track, So that means it's time for us to pick up the gauntlet and keep the movement moving, And like I said, however that is, whatever capacity that is, my position is fitness and wellness, and of course sharing information with people. That's my spiel. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm going to do to the best of my ability. But I digress, sis. I'm sorry.
You're right. Shout out to Sister Veronica, had me cracking up last night. But she also mentioned, Dr. Laila Africa.
Yes, we lost Dr.
as well, transition. So, hey, you got to get it in while you can, and never take nothing for granted. And like my brother Tad always say, it's never too late. It's never too late. There is no timestamp on success.
That's right.
And if you doubt that and you missed the fight this past weekend,
Salute Mike Tyson, Brooklyn in the house. They robbed my brother. They robbed him. It wasn't no draw.
That's right. It wasn't no draw. Because Roy was holding on from round one.
Yeah, from round one.
This is a fact. Round one, he was holding on from. They only had 8 rounds. It was only an 8-round fight, 2 minutes a round. Roy held on every round for at least a minute.
Word.
I'm telling you. Telling you.
He should have went into wrestling. But what did he say? He said, man, no matter where Mike hit you, your whole body hurt. Hit you in your toe, your whole body hurt. And I'm going to be honest, Sister Keisha. I thought Mike was going to try to take it easy on him. Mike was trying to catch him another knockout, see if he still had it. But to Roy's credit, Roy ain't no slouch now. That's
right.
Roy ain't no slouch. Salute Roy Jones Jr. But I give it to Mike. But I understand why they call it a draw. It's supposed to be an exhibition. which I
Right.
thought was dope, though, you know, because we get to see some of our favorites, you know, just see them sharpen their skills, you know,
Right.
because it's, as you just said, sis, you know, as we say, it's never too late to be successful. And this helped Iron Mike get back into who he is. Because a lot
Yes.
of times as we age, we start forgetting who we are. And then we start losing that. He just in the gym sparring, acting like we really need to, you know, put our hands on somebody. It's therapeutic also. Takes you back to a
Yes.
better place in time when you get into who you are. Because some people are just laying around waiting to die. And as long as you got breath, you got an opportunity to do what you want to do before you transition. Because that's a road we all gonna walk down. You know, we all gonna take that walk to the other side to meet the ancestors. But then that little dash between the day we came and the day we left is gonna be a testament to who we are. What's gonna be our legacy? How will we be remembered? You know, I don't want a 8.5 by 11 folded with just I was born in Brooklyn, went to public school, had a family, and I died. I want to know that I left a mark. I want to know that I impacted someone's life. I helped inspire them to be the best of them that they can be. Because that's what we're all here for. Our life is our living
Right.
testimony of who we are. You know, I don't get all philosophical and deep and stuff. You know, I'm about to burn an incense and start chanting, but I digress. I'm gonna put my towel on my head, Sister Keisha. Look, take my Timberlands off and walk around barefooted. Sip some peppermint green tea.
It is, Philly. And you know, a shout out to the United African Movement members who on, you know, the past 2 weeks before we took a break. They will be back next week for part 3 because we definitely gonna get into Mr. Sharpton and the shenanigans, you know, behind him and how he got off of that 67 count indictment. So we're gonna deal with that.
Shout out to
And
brother Ray Ray. Ran into
yeah,
him in the gym early in the morning. I was like, yo, who that
yeah,
Kingsley brother? And I looked again, I was like, oh, that's brother Ray. Cause you know we gotta wear our masks in the gym, which is crazy. Like, how are you supposed to breathe properly?
I
You know,
know.
but you know, real G's don't follow rules. So I pulled mine down, got me some fresh air. But definitely salute the brother Ray. Oh, look, he checking right now. Salute brother Ray. You
For
know,
real. I was rocking out with Brother Ray Ray last night with the Brooklyn Mackey Study Group, which takes place every 2 weeks. And so 2 weeks from today, next 2 weeks, Wednesday, Brother Mike Grays will be lecturing there. And I'm telling you, we go in because sometimes you have to go behind closed doors to discuss certain things. Of course, you know, Brother Ray records these things and puts it out on YouTube, and you can follow him on Facebook. You can follow him on YouTube, and also we continue to repost on Thorough Black Talk so you all can get the information. But the next time I speak there, I'm going to talk about the fleecing of Black culture and how we are complicit in it. So that's why I was online for more than 15 hours today.
but now, Sister Keisha, real quick, you had mentioned Al Sharpton, and you know we can call it fake leadership. Shout out to Sister Farnessa. She said I'm sitting in the lotus position chanting. Right? Talking about leadership in the Black community. All right. I had a chance to briefly glance over an article of Grandmaster Jay in the NFAC. Is it possible
Uh-huh.
that you can shed some light on that?
Uh-huh. Well, for those of you who've been watching mainstream media or following him on YouTube, Grandmaster Jay, leader of the NFAC militia. That's the No Effing Around Coalition, or at least that's what they're call themselves, was arrested today. You know, when Dr. Filet sent me this, I just started cracking up. Oh gosh. But you know, we're gonna wait for more information to come out. But I'm gonna give you the details because you know, like my brother Kifaru, shout out to him. He's skeptical about the sources, and there has been some shenanigans, if you will, with Grandmaster Jay. Some spotted him at Trump rallies and all kind of stuff. So I don't know, but I'm going to read this article that Dr. Fillet sent me. And it says the leader of the black militia that demonstrated in Louisville during last summer's social unrest has been arrested on federal charge. John Johnson, commonly referred to as Grandmaster Jay, heads up the NFC coalition. Johnson is charged with assaulting, resisting, and impeding certain officers or employees, according to court documents. He is currently being held in Oldham County Detention Center. A probable cause affidavit states that on September 4th, the night before the 2020 Kentucky Derby, Johnson pointed a rifle at Louisville Metro Police Department officers as well as federal officers. The alleged incident took place just after 8:30 p.m. as officers were conducting surveillance over demonstrators at Jefferson Square in downtown Louisville. At that time, the LMPD radio transmission went out notifying officers that a group of 6 to 8 heavily armed individuals were parked on Armory Place near a parking garage. According to court documents, 2 federal officers and 3 LMP officers went to the top of the nearby Jefferson County Grand Jury building to watch the group. When they got there and leaned over the roof, 3 of them were blinded by a flashlight, the affidavit claims. Investigators say the flashlight was on the end of a rifle that Johnson was pointing at them. All of the officers identified suspect Grandmaster Jay according to court documents. All officers advised they were concerned Johnson might intentionally or even accidentally discharge a round at them. The probable cause affidavit states all officers recognized that the distance between themselves and Johnson was well within the effective range of the AR platform-style rifle. 2 of the officers were wearing soft body armor, but we're aware that soft body armor would not stop a rifle round. Now I'm going to stop there. Now, here's the thing that disturbs me. I don't know, like I said, I just got the article today, and so I really haven't done in-depth investigation, of which I will. But the thing that bothers me, Brother Tad, is that you have Adam Waffen, the Sons of Trump, the Proud Boys, Boogaloo Boys, all kind of white terrorist groups that are not only brandishing firearms in various states, various municipalities, but some have even seized government buildings. There was an attempted kidnapping of the governor of Michigan, and the same treatment is not given to them, if you will. Even with the guys who attempted to kidnap the governor in the state of Michigan, were treated with kid gloves. And so you have to ask, these black politicians, one of the things that should be in the forefront of anything that they do involving us is that we have to have the same type of relaxed wear, if you will, carrying firearms. It just happened when I think it was last week, a sister who was coming home, this dude revving up a chainsaw. Yeah. And if she didn't have her firearm on her hip, she could have been a victim. Because he's upset for some reason or another. These days, they don't even have to be upset. You see all these Karens and Kents out here acting a fool. You know, if anybody should be allowed to carry a firearm and be at ease with such, should be Black people. But you don't hear politicians, or at least Black politicians, even discussing such. Even at a time where you have police officers who are blatant racists in various police departments out here beating Black people, murdering Black people, robbing Black people, falsely arresting and incarcerating Black people left, right, and center. But when Black people want to carry firearms, it's a problem. It's a problem. Now, I'm not saying I agree with Jam Master Jay and his crew or whatever they doing, but I'm just saying what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And all of you, a lot of you ran out there, you know, talking about you was voting Trump out of office. You got to get Trump out of office. And so you settled for Jim Crow Joe. You know, you settled for him and Kamala Harris. But nobody put this demand on the table. You know, Philando Castile was murdered in Minnesota, who had a legal firearm, trying to let the officer know, Baba Louie, that he had a license to have said firearm. But I didn't see the cadre, if you will, of the Congressional Black Caucus speaking out in favor of Black people having firearms. That the law is not even, if you will. In fact, it is laxed when it comes to people of Caucasian persuasion. You have now Asian folks who, as you've seen on social media, attacking Black people left, right, and center, telling them to get out their neighborhoods, and they dude straight out said he was a racist. You know, we have to pay attention to that because it's not always the Caucasian. And with the way the economy is going, the way the world economy, if you will, is going, Asia is in the forefront. So now we have to deal with that as well. And nobody, and that's what disgusts me about those Democratic politicians. I can't stand none of y'all. None of you. All of you are weak to me. And you know, and during this break, you know, I've been watching a lot of community board meetings, right? When you look at community board meetings that take place on the Upper West Side, the Lower East Side, Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, all of these different areas where there is a predominant of white or Caucasian folks living, if you will, mixed with Asian, their community board meetings are discussing land rights, you know, licenses for business, licenses for organizations, if you will. This philanthropy thing is taking off. You know, that's another racket that these folks are in. And these are the things that they're discussing, policy as it relates to the development of education where they live. But when I look at our community board meetings, all they talking about is a program and how to get a job. And I've looked at various community board meetings throughout New York, New Jersey, and PA. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. So don't tell me about your little stupid programs, because we don't need programs. And I'm talking to all Black Democratic politicians, because the majority of our people vote Democrat, unfortunately. That is another discussion in itself. The way you are wedded to a party that doesn't give you anything in return but lip service. And at the same time, these political candidates and pundits, if you will, are allowing other ethnic groups to steal our birthright, to steal what is owed Black folks, even in the past presidential, vice president elections. Like I said before, both Jim Crow Joe and Kamala Harris, both of them said that if it wasn't for the Black vote, they would not have made it. Now you have the Latino who were taking center stage, if you will. All of these Latino celebrity personalities, if you will, coming out talking about if it wasn't for the Latino vote. Half y'all ain't stop. But nobody is talking about this. This is crazy. And it really disturbs me. And so I know some on a local level may have good intentions, but your intentions mean absolutely nothing in degradation. And that's what the political party, the Democrat, is all about. Degradation. It is degeneracy at its core. So I don't care how good your intentions are. If you're not coming in swinging a hammer like Adam Clayton Powell Jr., you're a loser. And you're a part of a losing party as far as it relates to Black people. Because the only message that I see from the Democratic Party to Black people is vote us in for a job and go on about your business. Go on about your business. And that's just behind backwards. No other community does that. We're going to have to start becoming more politically astute before we go into any polling booths, because you were so afraid of someone's verbiage. You're so afraid of Trump's verbiage and international affairs and him not caring about folks here in the United States and the nepotism that is permeated throughout his tenure as president has run rampant, but he isn't the only one. It's always been that way. In fact, now that you've elected Jim Crow Joe Biden, you elected him, already he has put family members in place as if they're running the country. Like, why the hell is his wife always opening her mouth and attached to his hip? I don't remember her being on the ballot, but that's just my opinion. Y'all not paying attention to that? Are you crazy? It's about to happen again. It happened with the Clintons. But I don't get it. And to be wedded to a party that enslaved you in the first place is insane to me. Now, I'm not caping for the Republicans. Best believe that, because I'm neither. But you clearly understand the stance that a lot of the verbiage comes out of the Republican Party is anti who we are. In fact, whenever a Democrat is elected to office, their political cabinets don't reflect those who voted them in. In fact, you get more with Republican candidates. Put more Black people in their cabinets than the Democrats. Always. Even if you go back to George Bush. George Bush had more key positions in his cabinet. The appointments were Black people. You had Condoleezza Rice, whether you agree with her or not. You had Colin Powell, whether you agree with him or not. But when it comes to the Democrats, it's never the same. And you have so many Black people who be out here caping for them. Night and day, caping for them. And you get nothing in return. That is insane to me. So you're going to have to, family, reevaluate some things, understand what's going on here. How is it that you constantly do this to yourselves? More Black people are incarcerated under Democratic leadership. That then in turns favor for your oppressors, if you will. It gives favor. For example, if the majority of Black people live in urban areas, I'm going to use New York because we live in New York. The majority of Black people live in the urban city. Now, if they start locking up 500,000 Black people, that populace is shipped to rural areas in New York, upstate New York. Now, those who are incarcerated can't vote, but their bodies are used as numbers. And that then changed the politics. So even though we may be the majority in the city, in the state, if you will, they use that populace to dictate policy. And we don't see that. You got to be crazy. And if you look at every governor, every mayor, and every president that has been Democrat, more Black people have ended up behind bars. You got a crisis right now with there are more Black women and children who are missing, who are abducted, who are trafficked, who have been murdered to have their organs taken from them, and various other things happen under Democratic leadership. Yet you have right now the Democratic leadership in government pushing, if you will, vaccinations. They are complicit in shutdown of borders because of this said virus, but nobody shut down borders for Black people missing. It's more of us missing and trafficking than there are the whole of COVID cases. But that's not a crisis. And you get a lot of people, in fact, Brother Tad, you get a lot of people in media who will say that, yeah, well, we worry about that later. We just got to get Trump out of office. You're a fool. You're a fool. That's just like if you a hoe on the street and you got to get that bread before you lay down in that bed. But if you lay down in that bed and he busts you in your head, you ain't got no bread. You know, that's it. So let's not be fooled and let's not be stupid. But, you know, that these kind of things we really going to have to pay attention to. Right now, every person who's been out here caping for all of these politicians, all of you, I'm talking to all you people, been knocking on people's doors, sending out tweets, sending out posts on Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, TikTok, and everything else. I want to see you out here caping for Black gun ownership.
Yes.
And if you can't even do that, you're team loser. You're team loser. And I'm calling on all of y'all. Every last one of y'all. And some of y'all I know. Talking to you too. If you're not out here caping for equality listen, New York, you can't carry a firearm. Forget being concealed. You can't, listen. New York's gun laws are ridiculous. And it's why? Because we under Democratic leadership. How the hell did y'all vote for Midget Man, Bloomberg, 3 times? Are you crazy?
3 times.
I don't like some of y'all. I don't like some of y'all at all. I'm telling you, I don't like you. Because all of the problems that we have on you, dingbats voted for it. So I'm going to get off my soapbox. But what are your thoughts, Brother Tad?
I think you hit on so many dope points, and that takes us back to the top of the show when we talked about our folks always catch on late in the game. Like you said, they voted for these people. But then when things don't work out our way, be like, oh, well, you know, better luck next time. And then they repeat the cycle. And even about the incarceration rate of them shifting bodies upstate, you know, many people may or may not know, and I only know for New York, that in the rural counties, upstate New York, many of them places were indigent, a bunch of poor white people who had no economy up there until the prison industrial complex came. I believe in 1977, it was probably about 20 something prisons upstate, if that. And by the 90s, it's like close to 100 and something prisons upstate. Don't quote me because I read the report a long time ago. But I find it very ironic on how when white folks need a boost in the economy, again, they use us as cannon fodder to fuel whatever agenda they do have. So many of them were hired as construction workers to build the jail, and others were hired as correction officers to work within the jails. And many of them are relatives who had no jobs or anything like that. So us being incarcerated creating an economy for the local people, but then on the other side, it created a broader constituency for the politicians that were running. Because as Sister Keisha said, our bodies are counted, but our votes aren't. So when they go to Congress and stuff, they say they represent this amount of people because now anybody incarcerated is actually a resident of that county for that time. And we got to understand how this game goes. So even when we talk about the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery except as a punishment for a crime someone's been convicted of, we really got to peel back the layers and understand that they just took slavery from private ownership to government ownership, but then they revamped it by privatizing the prison systems, which is actually changing the slavery, i.e. convict leasing, back to private ownership. Because in fact, some people may not know a lot of these corporations were suing the local governments for not producing enough bodies for them to make a profit off of. Because when they made them backdoor deals, i.e. the laws saying we're going to build these jails and we're going to keep this much filled. And when the government didn't meet their quota, some of these owners of these private prisons were suing the government by not locking up people. It's just a crazy, sick game that's being played, but we got to recognize America as the criminal enterprise that it is, because it only became a superpower by stealing the land from the original people here and then kidnapping and human trafficking another group of people, which was us, to work the land that they just stole. So anytime you hear them say it's a free country, it was free because they didn't pay for the land nor the labor. So always remember that part. So we really got to be mindful and keep our eye out on what kind of three-card money they playing with us, because as we were talking about, the whole economic landscape is changing right before our eyes, and many of us aren't having this conversation, nor are we having easy access to this information to really bring back to our people. So that's why we're here at Thorough Black Talk, just to spark the idea in somebody's mind, somebody who may be in the finance industry and be like, you know what, Brother Tad and Sister Keisha is right, because this is what Bob and them is talking about at the water cooler. And when I walk around, they just try to hush up. But it's a whole big reset that's going on. And again, I'm not a Trump supporter, but as I said on the show again before, this is a fight between the white nationalists and the globalists. And I'd rather know the position of my enemy than not know the position of a so-called friend. So we really got to be mindful on what's happening right now, and we got to position ourselves in a place of an advantage for us, for our children, for our grandchildren, because none of us are getting any younger, but we do have to secure a future for our children, for our legacy. Otherwise, everything we're fighting for is for nothing, But that's all I want to add on there, real quick.
You're absolutely right, brother. So, we have to become more politically astute, family. And believe it or not, I am quite conservative. Quite.
That's right.
Some people might say, well, what are you trying to conserve? Black families.
That's right. Our way of life.
Black culture. Our way of life. Unfortunately, the millennials and the Gen Zers, they didn't have what we had. A lot of that family value, a lot of community, collective works has fallen by the wayside. You know, we was coming up, you can go to the neighbor and get a cup of sugar. You know, a slice of bread, you ain't got it, you know. But now they're brushing your head. You knock on somebody's door.
And it's funny you say that because I was as I was riding the train yesterday, just looking at our folks come and go, you know, and I was just thinking like many of us, whether it's here in Brooklyn, whether it's in the South, whether it's on the continent, whether it's the Caribbean, many of us as Black people have been raised in the village. We've been raised in the village with a village mindset that we all look out for each other. Just as you said, you can knock on the neighbor's door and we all looked out for each other. Like, could you even imagine knocking on somebody's door now, asking to borrow some bread? But before, it was nothing. You got a few slices of bread, you know? Or maybe it's just because I grew up in a poor neighborhood, you know, who knows? But, you know, you borrow food, you borrow sugar, you know, you borrow things, you shared. It was a communal effort. That's why us and so many of our friends from our generation are so close, because we can remember our parents struggling together and feeding us together, you know, eating at a friend's house or a friend coming to your house to eat. You know, it was no big deal. But right now, we've been conditioned to be so individualistic that it's not even funny anymore. And then we wonder why we don't take care of one another. Real quick, Friday, a friend of mine was murdered out in New Jersey in broad daylight. And he was shot 25 times. And it was a video, you know, it kind of went viral and it was upsetting, you know, that we're in a time now where we don't even respect life and, you know, things happen in broad daylight. And it's almost like everybody wants to be this bad guy. Everybody's making gangsterism and criminality synonymous with being Black. And too many of our brothers are trying to prove how hard or how Black they are by engaging in criminal activities, not understanding that if you did come up in an era where there were criminals, the criminals were only there as protectors of the community and providers, because anything that they did take was outside of the community and they brought those resources back. But right now, brothers are acting like it's cool to kill your brother. You know, we see what's going on with the rapper Casanova 2 times. You know, the feds he just had to turn himself in. And we seen what went on with Tekashi. And there's other people that are not as famous. And it's like, how do we really get our message out there? And this is kind of a rhetorical question, but it's still a question for the audience as well. How do we get our young people to see the righteousness in our plight, to stop killing one another, to stop buying into the narrative that being a criminal is who we are inherently? Because we're perpetuating this stuff against each other. We're not busting the pilgrims upside their head. We're not busting the Yang Fried Rice crew upside their head. We're doing it to one another, not realizing that we're minimizing our army. We're taking out our own soldiers because our neighborhoods are gentrified. Everywhere you go, it's less and less of us. And it becomes even lesser of that because we keep killing one another. I mean, what are we really going to have to do to really get out? Because I know for me, I just try to use my life as a living example because I once was out there like that. So, you know, I talk to them from the narrative that I know, that criminal lifestyle, that criminal element. But the psychosis that exists right now within our community, I can't identify with because it's definitely a psychosis. But I digress. We got our brother Ashe SJ in the house. Speaking of young warriors.
Brother is in here. Our baby brother is in here.
Salute, bro.
How you feeling, baby bro?
What's the word? How's everything, man? Yo, I was tuned in. You know, I checked in last week too, man. Y'all had it going. Y'all had
yeah, we saw you behind scenes.
You know, I'm like, let me just grab my notepad and play the background, man. But yeah, it was great work, man. But yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm doing well. You know, I'm on this 20-day fast right now. You know, it's hectic. It's a struggle, man. But it's a raw fast. So no cooked meals right now. I'm only eating raw food. You know, no hot meals at all. I'm telling you, it's a struggle, man, yo. But
yeah, it's too cold for no hot meals.
Yo, that's what people saying, right? But yo, I'm killing all these parasites right now. But yeah, man. Shout out to Plant Based Kitchen, my brother and my sister Tony Ariel. Tony and Ariel, they the ones that got me down to get down with this fast. And of course, it was in the spirit of the Honorable Dr. Sebi. You know, Dr. Sebi actually just we just experienced his birthday. What was that? A week ago? It was the 26th. So I don't know if we got to mention that on the show, but you know, we definitely pay homage and pour some libations out to that elder, that ancestor, Dr. Sebi. He's the main reason I became plant-based and I really got on my healthy vibes. But you know, we definitely got to tilt our hat to him. But yeah, man, this fast is killing me right now. But I get to eat. The 20th day is tomorrow, so I get to eat hot food again on Saturday. So you know I'm about to give up my wallet. I'm about to be like, for real. I'm hitting all the restaurants, the vegan jump offs. Like I gotta hit my roti spot on Fulton. I gotta hit everywhere. Like it's about to be a problem, man. I'm about to reverse the whole goddamn fast right now. Fast for 20 days. Now I'm about to be fat for 20 days. Real talk. But nah, man, you know, it's about the discipline. A lot of people say they can't do things in that nature. Well, if you feel like you can't do it, you know, challenge yourself. You know, our brother Tal always challenges all of us, you know, when it comes to that fitness, as well as not just the physical, but the mental and the spiritual element of it. You know, so challenge yourself. You never know. Try something new, something different, you know, especially in the times we living in right now. This quarantine, this virus they talking about is flaring back up. New York City cases is rising. You know, you might want to do something. You might want to try something just to build your immune system up. You know, try something different, family, because this thing is killing us. I don't know if y'all been hearing, but like people left and right. Luckily, it hasn't been anybody. Gratefully, it hasn't been anybody that I'm directly connected to. But people that I'm connected to have been telling me that a lot of people they know have been just dying out of nowhere. And it hasn't even been from the virus recently. It's just been like somebody just dropped dead. They just stopped breathing. You know what I'm saying? It's just the energy right now. We just had a full moon. The energy right now, this is the end of a year. We're about to go into another year. That's another transition. Like, we got to always keep our head on a swivel, family. You know, we warrior mindset, breeding other warriors up here. We got to live by example, man. So, you know, regardless of if it's your the way you live as a permanent lifestyle, or if it's just something that you're trying to switch up and get on your healthy for a period, like a fast, a cleanse, or something like that. We got to stay in our optimum state, man. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tony and Ariel Plant-Based Kitchen. I'm looking forward to that restaurant coming. You know I'm going to be there pulling up. But, you know, and behind the scenes, I'm still working too. I got a shameless plug. Let me share this real quick. Hide that joint. Boom. Black Girl Magic Street. Y'all know I'm doing a lot of work with Black Girl Magic Street, formerly known as Tompkins Avenue. Well, for the whole every weekend in December, Tompkins Avenue is actually going to have a holiday market. Now, all of these businesses out here, most of them at least, all of these businesses on this flyer is Black owned, and they all on Tompkins Avenue. Right here, Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, you see Tompkins. All of these are Black owned businesses, family. So when you talk about Black Friday, you talking about going out Cyber Monday, all of that, you better make sure you're spending some money with some of these Black businesses right here, family. So every weekend of December, the Black Girl Magic Street Holiday Market, whatever holiday you choose, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, Christmas, whatever you want. You could do it. Just make sure you're doing these with these Black-owned businesses right here, man. So if y'all want more information on this, Black Girl Magic Street, you can follow Make Manifest. I don't know if y'all can see it right there. Make Manifest BK. They on Instagram and all that. Shout out to my homegirl Aisha. That's the family right there. A beautiful store. And all of these other businesses right here are really dope. It's not just shea butter and incense. We got high fashion lines. we got a houseware. This store, Peace and Riot. Look them up. Black-owned houseware store. And I'm talking about fly stuff for your house, like interior design stuff for your house. They got all kind of knickknacks. They got games. They got all kind of stuff for your holiday season. Check out Peace and Riot. Sincerely Tommy is a Black woman high fashion line. Calabar Imports, I know a lot of y'all know about them. Bed, Vine, Wine, and Spirits. Y'all going to the liquor store down the street. I know y'all ain't going to Mr. Ching. Y'all got to make sure y'all going to black-owned wine and liquor stores. You know what I'm saying? And it's a whole bunch of other really dope businesses, man. So make sure y'all support the holiday market. Go to Make Manifest BK for more information. If you're not in the city, you could still support. You could shop online, or you could just PayPal, Cash App, support some of these black-owned businesses. But that's every weekend and for this whole month right here. So, you know, we steady working in the background, whether y'all see me or not. You already know what time it is. But what's the cipher right now? I know y'all been going in. I've been peeping. You know what I'm saying? What we building on tonight?
We got our brother, Dr. Yeah, he's coming in. I think I see him behind the scenes.
Yes,
he's trying to.
That's definitely in the house.
Yes, because we got to talk about other options. And as I said, the U.S. economy is changing. Right now, Asia is in the forefront. Whether it's China, whether it's Japan or India, is in the forefront of development, industrial development. If you doubt that, just look at all of these Caribbean nations and South American nations where the Asians are developing their roads, even in Africa or what have you. But the tide is changing as far as the euro is concerned, as far as the Urugu is concerned. So you're going to have different options. And, you know, what better way than to have our brother, Dr. Jahi Issa, who is right now, you know, I can say in our time, one of the premier scholars as it relates to Africa, as it relates to our plight as Africans, the enslaved, the descendants of the enslaved here in the Americas. I follow Dr. Issa. He writes a lot of columns. You know, I follow that. I follow his Facebook, YouTube, and just to get that information. I think last week or the week before, he and Brother Reggie did a Zoom conference, and they were discussing some things. I don't think he's going to discuss that tonight, but we want to get his input, you know, on where are we right now? You know, how should we move, and, you know, what are things that we can do? So I'm not going to keep running off at the lips. We're going to bring our brother, Dr. Jahi Issa, in the building. How you doing, Doc?
Hey, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yes, we hear you, Doc.
Oh, very good.
All right. So you in the States right now?
Yes, sir, for now. I'm trying to get out.
Okay.
Trying to escape.
So we were talking earlier about the economic collapse that's going on here in America, and the financial reset, and just everything about cryptocurrency and blockchain. We want you to talk a little bit about the importance of investing in Africa, or should we even consider investing in Africa, the pros and cons of it all. Could you touch on that real quick, Doc?
Well, yeah, I can talk to that, and I can go ahead and talk some about, you know, the issue of the Du Bois Center and the importance of the Du Bois into the Pan-African world.
Okay, can't kind of choppy, Doc.
I talk about that. I just got off the phone with Professor James Smalls.
Shout out to Professor Smalls.
Yeah, I can't control that.
All right,
I think
Doc.
you're breaking up a little bit, Doc. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Let me try to let go of my Bluetooth. Maybe that's.
Yeah, turn the Wi-Fi off too. Make sure you on cellular. If you like me, get on your 5G. I know we got a lot of 5G haters out there. 5G.
You got 5G? You got 5G, Ashe?
I got my 5G.
COVID, right?
Huh?
You know the 5G. it goes through the wire on your mask, and it
All
comes
right, can you hear
into
me now?
yeah, we hear you clearly, Doc. I say you know what I'm talking about, right?
You know what you're talking about.
Dude said you get COVID from 5G and
Some of
wearing
those
the mask. That's how you get it. I was
to
like,
go.
Conspiracy theory.
but Doc, we hear you clearly as well.
Okay, very good. All right. Yeah, we were really upset. I just got off the phone about 45 minutes with Professor Smalls, and we're talking about what's going on in the African world and what's our responsibility for our tribe here. Because we have been the heartbeat for the Pan-African world for many, many years, mostly due to our constant reminder of white supremacy and racism, and our attempts to try to eradicate it and do what Dr. Francis Quest Wesley has said, bring in real justice by eradicating white supremacy and racism. And so, with that said, there's a serious misunderstanding of who Dr. W.E.B. Bois was, right? And I understand why a lot of our brothers and sisters in the nationalist community were stuck on some literature that came out many years ago, and we haven't really read or studied Dr. Du Bois. The best biographer of Dr. Du Bois, W.E.B. Du Bois, is Gerald Horne, and I believe you guys had Gerald Horne on your show about a year ago.
Yes, a few
And
times.
Dr. Horne wrote a biography on Du Bois. Now, what's interesting about his biography, it didn't get a lot of attention. And then you had someone to rewrite a biography on him. You had someone, David Leverton Lewis, wrote a biography on Dr. Du Bois, and it won a Pulitzer Prize. It won a Pulitzer Prize. But what's different about David Leverton Lewis's, who's also Black, biography, if we are to do a comparative analysis to that of Gerald Horne's biography, is one, Gerald Horne's biography was first, and secondly, the most important point is that David Leverton Lewis' biography on W.E.B. Du Bois excluded his life in Ghana. It's almost as if he didn't even go to Ghana. And this dude who taught in New York at I think at NYU, I believe, until he retired, he absolutely chose not to deal with Du Bois going to Africa. Maybe the editors said they didn't want to deal with it, right? But I can tell you one thing, that the last chapter of Dr. Gerald Horne, his last paragraph, Dr. Horne's very last paragraph was, the CIA treated W.E.B. Du Bois when he moved to Ghana like he was a 22-year-old man running all across Africa. The man was in his 90s and still doing the work for African people, right? And because of that, it was his ideals as an intellectual. And sometimes now, because everybody has access to information, we tend to think that we're on the same level of a Gerald Horne or a Dr. Du Bois. And I tell people, even me, I can't even, I have a PhD in history from Howard. I can't even, I'm like a milli-inch of an ant compared to Dr. Du Bois. I can't even, just to even say that I can use his name in an effective way in trying to
defend his legacy. You know, I can't even compare myself to the 90 years of work that this man did. Right? And yes, he was at one point of his life, he was like most of us, unconscious. Right? And we start reading a book or an article, and most of us ain't even read a damn book, right? We watching YouTube videos, which is a substitute, and we think we know it all, and we think that we can be critical of this man's life's work, and we don't even know anything about the man.
Right.
Right? We don't know. Dr. Du Bois, W.E.B. Du Bois is the father of Pan-Africanism, period.
Now, Doc, you say that, right? And I'm glad you said that, because I've been to the W.E.B. Du Bois Center, peace be upon him, visited his grave, you know, which is right next to his home, you know, where Dr. Du Bois is buried. Many people will always put a spotlight on the disagreement him and Garvey have had, you know, and how him and Garvey would always go back and forth at it, and how, as you said, Dr. Du Bois wasn't always conscious, and at one point, he may have not wanted to go to Africa. Could you speak to that, the little friction that existed between Garvey and Du Bois, and what was the turning point for Du Bois to look?
No. Du Bois, no. Du Bois always talked about Africa.
Okay.
From Harvard till he died. Du Bois was the ultimate Pan-Africanist, but Du Bois also talked about that double consciousness. And Du Bois was also misled. He was misled. You see, like what's going on with Black Lives Matter, I can tell you, because I'm from Ferguson. I'm from that region. I was on the ground with my family. Man, Muhammad called me back home. Jahi, come on. And
hold on, Doc, we're losing you again.
I called, I had to go. Yeah,
Can you
I'm
repeat
sitting
that,
still.
Doc? You got broken up.
Yeah, I'm sitting still, so I can't control what's going on. I'm on my phone.
Right. You're clear now.
All right. So what I'm saying is that I recall very vividly what happened with the Black Lives Matter, and how the elite of this country went after the young folk who were young and radical and was ready to shake things up because of the killing of Mike Brown. And I was there on the ground when George Soros started buying the youth cell phones. A lot of them, they were poor. You know how to first no cell phones, they're bringing in money and start buying off the youth. Right? And the same thing happened to Dr. Du Bois. The white elite, the white philanthropists, those who were whites who were a part of the abolitionist movement, whose families made their money off of the slave trade, both illegal and the legal aspect of slave trade, meaning that those of us who were brought after 1808, a large segment of us came, the vast majority of Black people in the United States didn't come in 1619. Millions of us came between 1808 and the Civil War. That's a whole nother subject. Du Bois was the first with his doctoral dissertation called "Depression in Slave Trade," was written in 1898 and published Harvard University Journal. Book to this day. So that Du Bois was Africa. You cannot read any of his stuff from 1898 all the way into his death, where he wasn't dealing with Africa, but there was a period in his life where he was extremely impressionable. People came after him when they started the NAACP, they put a lot of resources in his pocket. But unlike a lot of people who get caught up in that, Dr. Du Bois shook that off. And so by the 1930s, he was on a whole different mission. And we tend to forget it was through Amy Jacques Garvey who called Dr. Du Bois and said, I want you to meet a young man by the name of Kwame Nkrumah right after the World War II. And they had a Pan-African conference in Manchester, England. And most of them came because of Du Bois, right? This is in 1946, I believe. And then later, Nkrumah takes power in Ghana. And one of the first things he does is invite Dr. Du Bois over. And Dr. Du Bois, in his last speech in the United States at Johnson C. Smith University in 1960, he read a speech. He wrote a paper to the African American Association of Teachers, where he is criticizing the civil rights movement. You should check that out, right? I wrote about this, and now there is a video. That whole speech is now, it was recorded. After I published it, somebody found the recording and put it up. Wither Wire now. It's a very prophetic speech where he's prophesying 40 years into the future what will happen to Black America if we keep on the path of the civil rights movement. And he said we will hit a point where we will never return back to our glory of fighting for Africa. And he always stated it was always about Africa in that speech. And he even makes statements like, I did not fight for 70 years for Black people to forget Africa, to forget the slave trade, to forget what these Europeans have done to us, to forget Negro history. And he was criticizing the civil rights leadership as he criticized everybody as an intellectual. So what I'm saying, most of us are not familiar with Dr. Du Bois' writings. We're not. What we're familiar with is a few people who have criticized Dr. Du Bois because of his fight with Garvey, in which, like I said, he basically apologized for that, took up the ram because of Amy Jacques Garvey's second wife, asked him to, and she said to him, you're the only one that can bring these young Black nationalists to point about what independence really means to the entire African world. And he stepped into that vacuum in the 40s after the death of Garvey. And he Garvey's movement, which was always about nationalism, a nation state in Africa. And Du Bois did something that Garvey couldn't do, and I'm a Garvey scholar. My doctoral dissertation is on the Garvey movement in Louisiana, and can't nobody tell me about Garvey. Right? I can drop some jewels on people that they ain't never heard about the Garvey movement. Du Bois did something that Garvey couldn't do, or rather, Du Bois took Garvey's work to the next level by training the new leaders who will come and run Kenya, who will become the first president of Ghana, who will become the first president of Nigeria. That was Du Bois. Du Bois did that. Garvey never set his foot on Africa. Du Bois, at the ripe age of 90, left the United States after that speech at Johnson C. Smith. He dropped the mic and broke and said, I ain't coming back. And he used his passport. And Nkrumah gave him money from the government. Now we're dealing with nation states. We're not talking about Black, this soft form of corrupt Black nationalism that we talk about now. The root word of Black nationalism is nation. How do you run a nation? Du Bois leaves the U.S. because he realized that we will never have a nation United States. And he goes and starts to train the young black nationalists in Africa under Kwame Nkrumah. And Nkrumah said, we need to get our history right. Du Bois said, yes, I'm the man. I will start the encyclopedia, Africanus Encyclopedia. And that has now been co-opted by Henry Louis Gates, who has always hated Du Bois's Pan-African ideal and contribution to the African world, and has always tried to usurp it. And now he's trying to steal Dr. Du Bois's legacy, convincing a subsidiary of Harvard University to buy his center that was a gift by the Ghanaian government under the late President Flight Lieutenant J.J. Rawlins, who died or was assassinated. We're not sure yet, but it's going to come out as to how this man died soon. And it was in 1985, with the help of the Iranians and the Chinese government and the groups of African Americans, that the W.E.B. Du Bois was built. Least we tell the truth of the history. It wasn't just a Ghana government thing. It was Africans from the diaspora, African Caribbeans, African Americans with the Ghanaian government, with Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlins, and they said we have to build a national center of Pan-Africanism so we can study our conditions. That's how the Du Bois Center of Pan-African Culture came about. Least we forget. And that center, let me tell you something else, another jewel about that center. Where, for those of us who've had the chance to go to Ghana, that center is a mausoleum, right, where he's buried. And it's built like a chief palace where he's buried. People don't know Du Bois was crowned a king in Ghana. He's a king. In the spiritual world, he's king. He's a divine king. He was installed as a king before he died. And that's why where he's buried is built like a king's palace. And there lies his grave, his spirit, and the spirit of his wife, his beloved wife, Shirley Du Bois. Let's not forget her either. Because just like the African spiritual system, a lot of us talk the African deities, and we tend to forget every deity has a wife and children. They don't come by themselves. Every river has a wife and children. So we tend to forget about Shirley Du Bois and her work toward Pan-Africanism. She was equally as important. So Du Bois is rolling over in his grave now because we have these reactionary Africans who are tools of European and Asian imperialism, trying to sell his legacy at the request of the former slave masters. This is the issue. And this is why I decided to take up the mantle and organize our elders and others around trying to get the attention out regarding the sale of the Du Bois. I'm passionate about this because if mother was alive and somebody tried to take her house, I'm going to fight like hell to save my mama's house. And even if she died and somebody tried to spit on her grave and talk about her legacy, we're going to be fighting to death. So we have to fight for our ancestors like they are divine elders still living, especially people, whether they black, white, Chinese, or Asian. So this is why I came and did these things with the Du Bois Center. You know, I think I got about 10 more minutes because my battery is running low. I'm running around with my 17-year-old son, and we're in Manhattan. And so
All right.
that was my point. Put the Facebook page I found out through the ancient African system. That's how I found out. I didn't even know. And I found out 2 weeks late. So I found out, guess what? Let the whole world know. Called Minister Akbar. I called Dr. Jeffrey. I called Dr. I called all the elders. And we had several conferences. And then this so-called bullcrap Du Bois Foundation, because it's bullcrap. And I'll say that in my grave.
Breaking up, Doc.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
Association
Doc, you got to repeat that.
Can you repeat that? Because you broke up a little.
Yeah, I'm sitting still. I said we got these sellout people in Ghana who are Africans, who agree to sell the voice. And there's a lady named Dr. Beck. The deep research, I was like, wow. Here, Henry Louis Gates then got some European billionaires to try to usurp Du Bois' legacy. But let me tell you that now, Du Bois said, because we had some people to go to his gravesite last week, and they talked to him. And he said, if they are able to sell his house and his center, his spirit will leave Ghana. He said that. And it's his spirit that has kept Pan-Africanism alive throughout Africa. And that's the press release that I wrote about. It was his center doing that. His center is that there's no center like that in the African world. It's dilapidated, and it's only dilapidated because the mismanagement of the fund money hasn't been. And so we have to fight for our esteemed ancestors. Nana, Dr. Du Bois, because he was a king. He died a king, and they made him a national hero in Ghana. We have to fight him. We got to study him. We can't be stuck. A lot of us are stuck in the 90s with our African Center analysis because we haven't stayed abreast to all the new research that goes out. And we're not abreast because we're not talking to the intellectuals who do this for us. And we think we know and we don't know. I am not a personal trainer, Tad. You are. I have to hire a personal trainer to get myself in shape because I can't do it. I don't know the right. So I have to hire somebody to get me in shape, to train me. This goes with our history and culture, where everybody can't be an expert on this. So Facebook page, I think I got about 7 or 8 more minutes before the battery drains. We got the Facebook page. People are now talking about it. We got Kwame Nkrumah's son involved. That's my man. He's growing. He made some mistakes in his younger years about his dad. Just like Bois made mistakes. Shit, we don't talk about Malcolm was a pimp. He was a pimp but died a king. So what more Du Bois? Study Du Bois after 1933. Study the evolution. Du Bois single-handedly saved black colleges. He went to war with the white European American philanthropists. From 1930 to 1960, he single-handedly and the white philanthropists who wanted to destroy black colleges. And they're coming after them again. Right now. We don't know Du Bois. We don't know his writings of Pan-Africanism. And like I said, he did something that Garvey couldn't do. And I often tell people, I really think that my great-grandmama had an affair with Du Bois. With Garvey. I'm sorry, with Garvey. Right. So we got to study with Du Bois. We got to study Du Bois. We're not studying him. We don't know anything about Du Bois. And those of us who cite Souls of the Black folk, we ain't even read that book. We don't know nothing about no Du Bois. Du Bois was the ultimate Pan-Africanist, and he got better and better and better at his age. He got better, man. That's why I said,
You breaking up, Doc, but you know what? I agree because just recently, I started reading a book on Du Bois, and I came upon some information accidentally because I was studying the history of gun culture as it relates to Africans and Pan-Africanism, and I came across some information on Du Bois. He was definitely pro-gun. He was definitely pro-protecting yourself. And actually, I found it in this book. This book right here is called The Negro and the Gun.
Yeah, by Robert Williams, yeah.
And I started, no, this one is by Nicholas Johnson. And I started reading, I'm like, wow. And when you find something, someone like myself, I got to dig deeper. And I started to find out a lot of things about Du Bois that I had not known.
So
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, Du Bois was the shit. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. Du Bois was, I didn't really start studying Du Bois until my 7th year of teaching at college. That's when I started. My brother, Dr. Ahati Ture, was like, bro, you all on Garvey, you writing your book on Garvey, but you can't study Garvey without studying Du Bois. Start reading everything he wrote since 1933. And, I had a PhD. I was teaching at a college, didn't know nothing about Du Bois. I know a lot about him now.
And Doc, that was one of the questions. I want to ask you 2 questions before your phone dies. One is, what's a book by Du Bois that you recommend everyone read so that they could get familiar with him? Part 1. And part 2, how can we support your efforts to save the W.B. Du Bois Center? Did you hear me, Doc? You still with us? Oh, I hope his phone didn't die.
I think so, because I see he's frozen there. So hopefully he can come back and join us. Because he did say his phone was dying. But like he said, just recently, I just found out some more stuff about Du Bois. And I just keep digging and digging and digging and digging and finding more and more information. And it just so happens that I'll just happen to be studying the history of Pan-African movements and firearms. And when I found that, I'm like, whoa, hold on. We talk about W.E.B. Du Bois here? So now, as he said, a lot of material is available for you. A lot of his writings is available at the, here in New York, there are some in the public library that I found. Some articles that he wrote. And it's worth taking a look at. And if not for anything, to get as much information as we possibly can as it relates to Du Bois, because, as he said, in your study, we here on this platform are forever researchers. We always studying. You got to continue to dig deeper. And when you come across, some information, it's permanent that you share it with everybody. So we got Dr. Issa back in here, and hopefully, Tad, you can ask him that question again on what we should be reading.
Yes. Dr. Issa, can you hear me?
He's on mute.
Oh yeah, unmute your mic, Doc. There you
All
go.
Right.
Did you hear the last 2 questions I asked you before your phone died?
No.
All right, the two questions I wanted to ask real quick is, what's a book that we can read to get familiar with Dr. W.B. Du Bois that you suggest, and what can we do to help your efforts to save the W.B. Du Bois Center?
Right now, I would suggest that people start organizing a campaign to start calling the Ghanaian embassy in New York and in DC saying, do not sell the Du Bois Center. Go on their website, email them, start a campaign, letting them know that we love Du Bois. Right? Start a campaign too to email Harvard University. Email the president of Harvard University and say, you and your people are trying to steal Du Bois's legacy. He was a Pan-Africanist. Why are you trying to make him something that he's not? Right? We need people to organize that.
Right.
We need people to do that now. And I think that will have a tremendous impact on whether or not they sell his center.
Okay. And which one of W.B. Du Bois' books you suggest that we read to get familiar with him?
I would say if we really want to understand the slave trade, you can go online and get the suppression of the African slave trade. He was the first one to document the illegal slave trade that many of us were brought over after 1808. Right? He said that he had proof that at least 500,000 of us were brought between 1808 and the Civil War. I've seen documents, primary sources that say up to 7 to 8 million.
Wow.
That's a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, yes. Well, you're always welcome to come share any information or speak what you want to speak about in terms of our African ancestors and our African diasporic family. This is your home, Doc. Because I can imagine you going in with that one right there.
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to ask, Doc?
Nah, that's definitely a good.
No, I just.
What you said, Doc?
No, I just want us to be vigilant. Let's protect our ancestors. Let's protect our legacy. Du Bois did something that a lot of people couldn't do. At a ripe age, he was still thinking, y'all, at 90. He could have went to China. They loved him there. He could have went to the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
He was a communist. They loved him there. But he went to Africa and died. Right? We got to remember that. We got to remember that. We got to protect that legacy. When you're powerful like that, they will never allow us to sleep, even in our graves. Right? That's how powerful he is. They even in the center, in the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, they took out the word Pan-Africanism. That's a powerful concept. And the Du Bois Center has been the center for African Pan-Africanism since its inception in 1985. There's power there. It's worth protecting.
Right.
That's what Dr. Jeffries told me.
Now that's where the Africans from America that repatriated back to Ghana, that's where they meet as well, right?
Yes, sir. That's our shrine. It's the Du Bois Center. It's sacred to us.
Funny is the first time I went out there, Doc, I ran into a brother that I know from New York. He's from New Orleans, but I met him here in Brooklyn. But then I ran into the brother out there because we have a lot of mutual friends. And, we partied a few times here in New York. So I thought that was so dope. My first time in Africa, run into a familiar face from Brooklyn. So it shows you how how sacred and powerful it is to draw the energy of our people from all over the
Yes,
world
sir.
to that place.
Yes, sir. So look, I'm gonna get on off because my it's about to run dead. But if you can include the Facebook page, it's called the Coalition to Preserve W.E.B. Du Bois's Pan-African Legacy. We're always putting up information about Du Bois and his legacy and what's going on the ground. We pray to God that the government of Ghana rescinds its decision, and we pray to God that Harvard University leaves this man's spirit alone.
I share. Well, Doc, we definitely appreciate you. Hopefully, we'll have you back sometime soon. Keep us updated on what's going on, and we're definitely going to call the embassy and start that campaign.
All right, my brothers and my sisters, y'all take it easy.
Thank you,
All
Doc.
right,
You be safe,
too,
travel safe, and all the best to you and your son.
All right.
I see your son out there playing football. I see. I'm watching.
Wow.
I'm watching.
He hit us with a lot of information tonight.
That's true.
That's my dude, Dr. Issa.
That's what's up, and like he said, we have to protect our own legacy. For all of you who always ask the question, I know we have a lot of our young people who watch a Thorough Black Talk, but when you ask the question, why should we care? He just gave you a synopsis of why you should. Why you should be in the forefront of your voice. And as I said, when I return back to Brooklyn Mackey's study group, I'm going to discuss the fleecing of Black culture and how we are complicit in it. We really, really, really have to stand our ground, because if we don't, who will? And as we see here in the United States, there is no real voice for us. And so we have to be our own champions, if you will. We have to champion our own cause. We have to take our movement back. We cannot allow others to keep co-opting everything that we do. I was watching, Brother Tad, just to go off script real quick, this recent American Music Awards. And I saw a clip where I think best artist or whatever went to a Korean group, BTS or whatever their name is.
Yes.
And we are so reluctant to demand that people stay out of our realm, that people show respect where it should be. How the hell, of all these Black artists, and I don't profess to know them all, but of all these Black musicians who were out here, that the best is a Korean-based group? Now, we invented music. We invented it. So how can they be the leaders of it? How can Black people call Elvis Presley the king of rock and roll when he didn't invent none of it? We are very easily allowing people to co-opt our culture, and it starts by little things like this. So the next time I'm at our professor's study group, Mackey study group, I'm definitely going to deal with that issue. I kind of touched on it a little bit as I was discussing the need for or our relationship with firearms and Pan-Africanist groups from the 1800s into the early 1950s. We've always was one and the same. You cannot have Pan-Africanism without a protection racket. And we always had that. So I'm going to definitely touch on that, but I'm going to get off my soapbox because I know we coming to the end, my kings. Give your final thoughts, your words. What's good?
All right. Well, family, you know how I do. Hopefully you learned something tonight. Dr. Issa came through, blessed us with what's going on over in the continent of Africa. We initially said we wasn't going to discuss that tonight, but I guess he felt compelled to really share that, which I'm glad he did, and I guess next time he'll come on, we can discuss the pros and cons of repatriation and investing in Ghana. specifically, Africa in general, Ghana specifically. All right. So hopefully you were inspired by what you heard and learned tonight. So it's your turn to go out and inspire others. So y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true. And remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now, there's always better days ahead. Brother Ashe.
Yeah, I mean, yo, this right here shows you the importance of multiple perspectives and multiple people coming with multiple sources. You know, this is a village. You know, this is a real. This is a cipher. This ain't just thorough black talk up here saying information, and then we reading the same books, and we not coming with no compare and contrast or no different perspective. Like we got to study all of it. Like Keisha say, study the losses with the wins, study our enemies, study everybody. But remember, first and foremost, this is a cipher. You know, so we will, you know, in the future have more opportunities for the brothers and sisters that's listening to tune in and weigh in, you know, as far as calling in, asking your questions with our guests. I know I saw some of the comments. Some people might not feel the same way, might not agree. We not all going to agree on every single thing, but it's really our responsibility to bring the points, the bullet notes of why we don't agree on certain things to the cipher so that we could come out with the best solution in the end. You know, it would have been amazing. You know, we definitely got to have Dr. Issa on once again, more times in the future, so we can get more information, but also have a Q&A moment so the brothers and sisters, so we can really get some clarity on what's going on, because we know it's a lot of misinformation out there. Unfortunately, it's hard to navigate through what's really the truth and what's not. You know, so this is why we need professionals. Like he said, he ain't no personal trainer. He does that for a living. This is what he does. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we gotta, if these are their professions, we got to be asking these questions with these people and not these YouTube scholars and things of that nature. So, but yeah, bring your information to the table. Bring your books. Let's all go back, dig in the crates on the bookshelf, study. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to learn from the mistakes, whether it's good or bad, whatever you believe in. As long as you know, race first, putting in that action and not getting stuck in these books, you know, we're going to be all right, fam. So, you know, once again, when it comes to that action, booyah. Black Girl Magic Street, Holiday Market. This is what I'm about, man. I'm about making change, real change, man. So make sure y'all pull up. Once again, like I said, you can follow Make Manifest BK. They on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. And Make Manifest BK. You could buy some great things if you're not in Brooklyn. But if you are, please pull up. It's every weekend of this month. So Saturday and Sunday, you can pull up. All of these amazing vendors will be there. It's not just Make Manifest. It's going to be real powerful, man. I don't know if y'all heard about Black Girl Magic Street, but it's amazing right now. I'm telling you, it's a whole vibe. So make sure y'all pull up, spend some of them black dollars. And, you know, like I always say, remember, true courage is knowing how to suffer. Battlefield is where you stand, family. Till next week. Yo, we got to have Jahi Issa back on again, though, man. That was too short.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely got to have him back on, you know.
And definitely salute
for sure.
Dr. Gerald Horn, who we had on the
Yes.
show before.
Yes. One of my favorite writers, as far as it relates to insurrection and just black liberation as a whole. I love Dr. Gerald Horn's work. You know, some of his books, I have like 2 and 3 copies. I might have a hard copy back there, and then I got the Audible over here. You know, when I work out, I listen. But again, family, we appreciate you joining us every week. Continue to share our program. We ask that you share and like our pages, our Facebook, and our YouTube pages, please. For those of you who aren't on Periscope, you should switch over, because oftentimes things that are discussed can be wiped out on Facebook and in YouTube, whereas it will be allowed to play on Periscope. Again, Michael K. Graves will be back at the William Mackey Study Group December 16th. That's 103 Quincy Street. And then I will be there 2 weeks following after that. Pretty soon we will have Dr. Arthur Lewis join us. At least before we close out for the year, we'll have Doc Lewis come in, because When it deals with this geopolitical scope, you really got to understand what you're dealing with here, family. And a lot of us do not. Again, thank you for the contributions to my brother Ashe SJ. Get out there with Black Girl Magic Street and do some serious shopping with people who look like you. Now is the time to buy what you want. You got sales going all over the place, so why not do business with ourselves? We are a strong proponent of that. Continue to watch Brother Tad, Better Days Ahead Fitness, as he try, my brothers, they like really my little brothers around here. I got to be watching them because when Brother Tad go on, he won't put it on the Thorough Black Talk page. So I got to do that. So follow us on Thorough Black Talk so you can get them workouts, so then get them figure eights in. So I won't be the only one, me and Sister Tria, breathing like 100 dogs over here. But it works. It works.
It's
and
crazy.
You got to follow my brother.
I don't even put the workout on my page.
What would they do without the big sister? I'll tell you. Follow Solid African because my brother Ashe SJ is always out here working, and anything that he's doing, he's going to put it on that Solid African page. And of course, I will follow him and then put it on Thorough Black Talk so you guys can see what's going on. We love you. We appreciate you. Y'all stay safe. I'm going to get ready to start my fast this weekend.
Yeah.
It's on, y'all. Stay black, y'all. We out of here. Have a good one.